Bible's corrupted and discredited and perhaps even destroyed. Such is the claims made by typical Muslims who have been misinformed and without proofs and evidence to back up their claims. Let us look at the evidence that's presented by Dr. J. Smith on the historical and documentary proofs for the Bible that has been found through research and study and critical conversations over the last centuries.
There's no other book like the Bible. There's no other book like the Old and the New Testament. The New Testament with over 24,000 manuscripts, now getting up to 25,000 manuscripts. A good 230 of them that predate the 6th century, predate the Quran itself. We have the entire New Testament by the time of the 4th century, 300 years before the Quran.
You have materials for the New Testament as well as the Old Testament, which are solidly in volume, and a mountain of manuscript evidence and mountain of documentary and historical evidence as recorded by Christians and non-Christians alike. We have hundreds and thousands of documents that come before the Quran by 300 to 400 years, and they are consistent right to this very day. So you can see for yourself if the claims made by Muslims about Bible corruption are true or not.
Over 19,800 translations in 11 different languages, 36,000 quotations that predate the 4th century. And when you put those 36,000 quotations in chronological order, we can reproduce all 27 books of the New Testament except for 11 verses.
We have translations of the ancient documents into scores and hundreds of languages that are in agreement in the core content with one another, and they are consistent from the very earliest centuries till right now, till this very day. To this kind of documentary and manuscript evidence, the Quran has nothing to say because it cannot disprove the mountain of evidence that is available to any researcher, any objective and reputable scholar who is trying to study the contents of the Bible.
And we can still reproduce the entire New Testament just for those early church fathers' quotations. And then look at the Old Testament and look at all the artifacts just in the British Museum. Look at the enormous amount of evidence that supports Genesis, that supports 1st and 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Kings, the Book of Daniel. The Book of Daniel, I can only tell you about the Book of Daniel, what we found with Nabonidus and what we found with Daniel himself. It's terrific to see what we now know about the Bible. And that's why I have confidence in it. So when Muslims say we've corrupted it, they've got to answer me 2 simple questions: where and when. Where was it corrupted? When was it corrupted?
From the writings of the early church fathers, we are able to also reconfirm what the earliest documents and manuscripts of the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, say. So there is a mountain of evidence both for the Old and for the New Testaments which prove the reliability and the indestructibility of the Bible. So the evidence and the weight of the burden of proof lies squarely on the Muslims to answer 2 important questions, which is crucial in their accusation about so-called Bible corruption.
If you really want a book that you can trust, if you really want a book that is historically sound, if you really want a book that is sent down, inspired by God, but written by men, come on back to the Bible. Come on home.
Therefore, just as Dr. J. Smith said, if you really want to discover the true teachings of Jesus Christ, you've got to come back to the Bible. Because there's no other book and no other source that contains eyewitness testimonies and records of the earliest Christians that predate Islam by 5 to 6 to 7 centuries and are consistent right to this very day. So the burden of proof does not lie with the Christians, but very much so with the Muslims who are trying to foist a false accusation upon the Bible.